With Paldea Evolved coming out very soon, I wanted to make a tier list of what the meta might look like after the set comes out. First, I'm going to define my tiers, from bad being just decks I simply see having exactly zero play at all, mad being a subpar deck but still having some sort of merit, mid being a deck that has some sort of merit but really is just okay, nothing really too special about it, good being a top contender in the standard format, but there's something holding it back from being one of the best decks, and best being just one of the very best decks. It's liable to take down any tournament that it enters. And I'm not going to be organizing tiers. I'm not going to be doing anything like super hyper specific because the set is still. I've not played a ton with the new set, and nor has really anyone else. So hard to formulate too strong opinions without a little testing. So now let's get into the tier list. Personally, when I watch a tier list video myself, I don't like it when the creator's just dragging the things in all different boxes, like debating on and on. I'm going to just do a quick overview of all my tiers and the things in it, so we're not here for too long. So first, we have bad tier, and in it is Curem, which is pretty self-explanatory ever since post-rotation. Curem has seen, aside from that meme deck with 30 energies, really no play at all. Shadow Rider is just still much too slow. It's probably the best deck in this tier, though. Zoroark is just outclassed by many other faster decks. Oink alone is just not tanky enough, doesn't have a high enough damage baseline, and the only new deck in here is Skeledirge. I just don't see Skeledirge being able to trade well enough with single prizers or be consistent enough to really make an impact on the meta. So moving up to meta tier, we have quite a few more decks. Arceus Goodra just is pretty much outclassed by straight Goodra and other Arceus builds. Magnezone Dialga is just not consistent enough, doesn't really have, taking an extra turn is pretty cool, but there's not really a reason to play the deck aside from that. Darkrai is too slow, but there are some new cards that maybe Squawkabilly makes the deck faster. I don't know. Palkia is just outclassed by Wo-Chien now. Now you're just gonna be playing Palkia in Wo-Chien. Arc Flying Pika is just there's not really reason to be playing Flying Pikachu right now. There's just better Arc builds. Snorlax Stall is too easy to play around. Control in here is kind of weird because I'm sure Sander Wojcik will find some way to break Control, but I don't know what that is, so I'm just gonna throw it in meta tier. This could end up looking like a fool, but who knows? And then Quackaball also ends up in here. It's aside from being able to hit and run behind Klefki's, I don't really see a whole lot of merit to this deck. I think it'll probably be a bit too slow. We'll get bullied by some single prizers. Like if just sitting behind Klefki is your win condition, and in certain decks, it just doesn't seem too good in my opinion. Bumping up to the mid tier, we have a few more decks with Gardevoir, Mewtwo V Union kicking us off. I just think that straight Gardevoir is just such a much better way to play this deck. So you could definitely bump this deck up into good tier because Gardevoir is just really good. But I just think it's just simply very outclassed by another version of the deck. Same goes for our Fusion Strike Mew, and this might be foolish because as I'm recording this, Rowan Stabenow is in top cut of the Hartford Regional Championships, so this could end up looking big dumb, but I don't think so. Meowscarada does seem pretty cool in Lost Inbox decks, but I just think that's probably outclassed by other builds. Wings of Unity seems like a fun new single prize deck, but once again, I just think they're just better single prize decks around. Urshifu and Teleon is okay. It's just pretty good into single prize decks. It's just not really that exciting, and I don't feel like it really does a whole lot. Reggie's I feel like is improved. I might be overrating it slightly, but I do think it's a tanky single prize deck that hits weaknesses, can uptrade. So I think there is a little merit to the Reggies. And finally, Miraidon. I just think Miraidon is outclassed by other faster, more consistent decks. I don't feel like it really does not care for Iono Path. So I mean, this is where Miraidon is in current standard format, in my opinion. I don't feel like it gains anything from Paldea Evolved to change that. Good tier is pretty wide. We have quite a few new decks that I think have solid potential, but I don't know how consistent they will be able to pull off deep runs into big tournaments. Starting off with Tinglu, I love the ability locking aspect of the card, and ability lock is always really strong in the Pokemon trading card game. Just the damage is a big question mark to me, as well as the energy acceleration. I know we have Koraidon and Gutsy Pickaxe, but if your opponent is able to overcome that ability lock and even start threatening 2 shots on you, I think that you'll oftentimes just find it hard to come back into games just because the damage output is just really underwhelming on Tinglu. Wo-Chien is one of my personal favorite decks coming out of Paldea Evolved. Being able to pop that Fortress, start sniping things for big damage with a tanky Pokemon, as well as comboing that with Iono Path. Seems really good in my opinion, but I just it seems kind of memey, kind of cheesy, so I'm just slapping it here in good tier. I do really think Judge Path decks will be pretty good after Paldea Evolve comes out, but I don't know if it has quite enough to put it in S tier necessarily. Sablezard is just an established, pretty solid deck. I think it's definitely a step below my classic Radiant Greninja Lost Zone box decks, so that's why it ends up in good tier. Giratina, you definitely could make a case for it being a tier lower, but I think it is still a very solid pick. There are just other Lost Zone box decks that are probably just a little bit better. Noivern is another one of my favorite Scarlet and Violet decks, or Paldea Evolved decks. Just the combination of the basic Pokemon lock, but I think the main selling point of the card is the second attack of being able to lock a stadium in play. Combining that with Path to the Peak, Iono, Judge, whilst two-shotting just seems very good in my opinion. It does probably suffer from a similar thing to Ting Lu, where if your opponent can set up through the ability lock and start hitting you for big damage, you definitely will struggle. Goodra, I think this is where Goodra is in current standard format. I don't think a whole lot changes to bump it in or out of. This is colorless Lugia specifically. It does gain some cool new cards like Therapy Energy, but one thing I think to keep in mind is that Duraludon is still definitely a mainstay in standard format. In like the single strike build, has Urshifu to hit through the Duraludon, but the colorless build would not have anything like that. And just playing Path to the Peaks and Lugia just seems pretty sus in my opinion. So that's why it's not the best Lugia build. And this is probably controversial putting Chin-Pao in just good tier, but I think this deck really could struggle with, I just don't like playing Irida as a supporter. Like, I know you can cherry pick just that water Pokemon, the item, get your Rare Candy Baxcalibur, but I think this deck's going to do struggle with Path to the Peak. It's hard to fit like everything you want to with your energies, your stadium bumps, all your tech Pokemon, whether you want to be playing like Palkia, you want to be playing Kyogre from Crown Zenith. There's like so many options water has, and I think there probably is like the perfect Chin-Pao list that probably is in best tier. That's why I put it in the top of good tier. I know I said I wasn't ordering tiers, but I think Chin-Pao probably has the capability of getting put up in S tier. I just want to see it prove itself before I just go slap it with the best decks in the game right now. And finally, the best of the best. These are the best 6 decks in the game, in my opinion. I think Arceus Duraludon, it's just one of the best Arceus decks right now, and I think Duraludon is just still pretty solid after Paldea Evolved. Being able to hit a 220 is a very nice number into Chin-Pao, and especially if people are leaning more towards colorless Lugia decks and not having options to get through that Duraludon, that definitely is a big selling point for the deck in my opinion. Just the Radiant Greninja Lost Zone box decks are just incredibly strong already, tons of options, and you even have more options, I guess, like with Wo-Chien, maybe even with some Noivern packages getting thrown around. As long as Colress, Mirage Gate, Comfair Legal, Lost Zone box is going to be top tier. I'm putting Single Strike Lugia above Colorless Lugia just because it has the option of getting through Duraludon. I think that this deck is just going to be the better build, at least to start off with. Depending on how the meta shapes up, like maybe Duraludon falls out of the meta, and then there's a reason to play Colorless Lugia because that threat is not there. But as of right now, the meta that I foresee early on is always one where Single Strike Lugia will be succeeding. I love Judge Path decks and Iono Path, and I just think that Mew VMAX is just one of the best abusers of that kind of strategy. So I think it's just a logical choice to keep Mew VMAX in best tier. There is like sort of the thing about how Spiritomb is coming out, which definitely can slow Mew down. So if you want to put Mew down in good tier, I wouldn't hate it, but I just really like the capability of using Iono Path and just really making things hard for your opponent. Arceus Giratina, I also sort of second guessing myself, like, do I really want to put this in best tier, do I want to put it in good tier? But I think it is another, it can use Iono Path really well, and also it just came off a regional championship win relatively recently. I don't think there's going to be too much to come out to change that. And finally, in my opinion, the biggest winner from Paldea Evolved, and that is Gardevoir EX, with Reversal Energy, Iono. Like, you're going to be falling behind to abuse Iono, you're going to be falling behind to use Reversal Energy, so I just think that Gardevoir is the biggest winner, but I don't know what you guys think. Do you agree with this tier list? Here's the whole extended out version of it. I'll even, I can post a link to it in the description below maybe, and yeah, you can make a tier list for yourself. But do you agree with my tier list? Is it complete cringe? Let me know in the comment section. And if you made it all the way through the end of this video and you enjoy this kind of content, please consider liking, subscribing, and just help me out that way. And if you want to see another video about some other Paldea Evolved decks, I got just the video for you here.